Hello everybody, my name is Koss and welcome to another video. Today this is going to be a tour of Lumbridge, Varrock and sort of the east areas of Varrock, so the dig site, exam centre, etc. But before I start touring and just sort of talk about general development, I just want to give a quick oversight of what these tours mean in sense of a project and why am I starting to tour all these areas. So I'm going to try and be very quick and direct with this explanation as much as I can. So the last video we saw was for Taverley, Burthorpe and Cafferby area. So if I just quickly show you what that tour was essentially of, it was roughly bum bum bump of that. So that is the area size of what I toured. Now, what it was before was practically this. So we had Taverley, and I'll do a different colour for Burthorpe. So we then had Burthorpe, and then sort of, yeah, all of Cafferby. I'm just going to overline that. So we had one, two, three areas, and as I've said in the past, how you connect to other areas is that you enter a transition, you get into a loading screen, and you see, you load into the area. So that tour was practically sort of a recreation and merge of all these areas, which I did explain in the video, but thought I'd give a more overview sight of what exactly I was on about rather than just talking. So it's turned all these three areas into one area. So there's no more loading screens between them all, and you can sort of move around more freely. But what I did back some months ago was also Varrock. So Varrock is now, I'm going to have to use a tool set because they aren't directly boxes, but you'll see what I mean. So um, Varrock is now this, whereas before it was more of we had Varrock area, we had an area called East Varrock, which I'll explain sort of more later on. So we had three areas. So this tour is another sort of three areas merged into one. So with that being said, I am now going to be doing the touring. Right, here we are in Lumbridge. So you have probably seen this on the odd clips I've done here or there in the past, but I am playing in Enhanced Edition only because, and I cannot explain it, or I spent some time fiddling around with it, but the shadows on vanilla weren't normal, so I figured I'd just hop on Enhanced Edition. It's better visuals overall, it's odd controls, but you'll see the odd bug here or there, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, at least the shadows are working because they were very distracting. I couldn't focus on what I was trying to say. Right, so here we are in the Lumbridge courtyard. Lumbridge being our first ever area created. We now have our own sort of custom models, so the walls, the gatekeep, the castle itself, and all the flags. The annoying thing about Enhanced Edition is I can't look up. So, but yeah, so a little Easter because you can't actually access to the top of here, but I might try and rework it so you can. But yeah, the iconic bronze pickaxe is up there. So, um, for those not so familiar with the project, I will explain one thing in that we do have custom content. It is always law friendly, etc. But we do tweak things here or there. So our project is to be played as an MMO, not sort of like not sort of like an art piece that is a replica one to one. So we do tweak things to tweak. We do tweak things to match our gameplay rather than being as like an absolute true one to one. And a demonstration of that is this staircase on the side of Lumbridge Castle. So that isn't there in RuneScape, but the whole point of these tours and these area merges of what I've been doing is that we try and reduce as many load screens as we can. So Lumbridge is the starter area. The nearest bank is in Lumbridge Castle, right at the top, as people will know. Um, one of the things we didn't want to keep doing, and we found it annoying, and players found it annoying, is loading into the castle, running up, because the bank actually used to be inside the castle. Um, do your banking things, come back out, load into Lumbridge. Lumbridge is a very large area, so the larger areas take just a few seconds longer to load in with a loading screen. So we create these custom things, so the staircase, so we can actually climb up, run over to the bank and access it, do your banking, come back down, climb back down there, or you can actually go into the castle if you want. So it's all on the same area. You don't have to go through loading screens or anything just to access a bank. So you'll see things like that, and yeah, I will explain stuff as I go. Development, history of things, and just about everything. I want to focus this video on, this video alone. I think my last tour videos, because we haven't uploaded in such a long time, I've been trying to get a lot of information out, and it's not exactly been always key to the video. But yeah, so this is the sort of the graveyard of Lumbridge, where you start Restless Ghost in the mausoleum in there. And again, that could be another thing where we retweak this mausoleum so you can actually enter it rather than sort of opening the door, entering a transition. So that's just come to my head, and I think it's something I definitely want to do. So yeah, it makes everything more free flowing. So another thing is we have the iconic houses here, and I think this one here is Bob's Axes, but I'm actually going to show you where he is now relocated. So Lumbridge has a lot of interiors. Um, RuneScape itself is a top-down game, so you're looking like, I don't know, that. If you enter a building, the roof disappears, but because this is an entirely different game, you have interiors in the buildings. We have done it in some places, which I might show a screenshot of Canifis, where we've made the houses actually exteriors, but they don't have roofs. So it doesn't fit this world's environment of Neverwinter Nights 2, where if we built this house here as you can you can just walk through the door and access it within the whole same area, we would essentially have to cut the top half of the building off. So it's always like playing as it's always like playing roofs always off, which makes the world feel very flat and empty. So as I'm looking at that farm there, it would just imagine the top half of it cut off. It's yeah, you could. It looks terrible. So there are interiors you have to go into, but Bob is now located here. So we have turned some shops. I think Lumbridge also has the general store, which is this guy here. So we have sort of retweaked them slightly just to match our game, where they have market stalls, and you don't have to load into a shop then load back out. So I think we definitely prefer it that way as a gameplay. The Herald of Lumbridge. So we do take things from both RuneScape 3 and old school RuneScape. The project started when it was literally just RuneScape 2. So certain things, I just reference it as RuneScape 3 and RuneScape 2, but I do believe the Heralds came out in RuneScape 2. And yeah, so that's if you're just an old school player, you're unsure what certain things, I'll try my best to say this is RuneScape 3, this is old school, or if it's custom content, I'll say it's custom content as well. So probably the most iconic training spots for everyone to start off with is the goblins and sort of giant spiders, as well as once you eventually get I think it's 20 fishing for trout and 25 for salmon, is that you can access fishing, and you've got the starter combat here. Runes Neverwinter Nights 2, our project, it's a bit with a thing with factions, whereas RuneScape you can sort of left click all the monsters. I know there's for certain things where if it's higher level than you have to right click, but things like Rune Lights, you can have entry swap. I think actually it's a default option in old school RuneScape now, where you can just left click NPCs instead of having a right click option. So that is a default. But how we've sort of structured that into our project is things under a certain level are neutral. So as I highlight this goblin, he's blue. That means he's neutral. He's not going to attack me on sight. I can't attack him on site. I can actually talk to him. They don't have. I need to add dialogue to them really, so you just aren't, talking to random things. But it's the same with spiders really. So you can just come up to it and talk to it, But I need to add some sort of counter thing where if you talk to it, sets their hostile, trigger. But if you right click them, you have the attack option. So that's how you do the low levels. But as you level up, just to maybe give a quick brief summary on combat is there's certain hard-coded things in Neverwinter Nights 2, and where sort of your level is 1. Um, the levels range from level 1, so you start off as level 1, and the cap is level 30. So we've tried to translate that into how the RuneScape combat system works. Old school wise, the max combat is 126. So imagine a level 30 player in Molior RS is a level 126. Imagine a level 10 player is a level 60. So it works in, I think it's like a 1-to-3 ratio in a way. So things in Molior RS, once they go past level 5, they are always hostile. So you can just, one click attack them. As you can see, spiders are level 2, goblins are level 1. I think cows are like, the same, level 1s and 2s. So that's just a very brief summary of how combat works. One of the interesting things I've done with Lumbridge is we try and make the world more immersive. Neverwinter Nights 2 it's a D&D game, so you have features such as like alignments. You can be good or evil. You can be aligned to gods, so like Saradomin and Zamorak and Guthix and things like that. And I've been trialing it with Lumbridge, where we have these like custom guards here. They just patrol around. I mean, I could talk for hours on end on how some of the systems work. I've very briefly described why we have sort of some custom guards. Is that if I attacked a cow and didn't kill the cow would remain hostile. So if a new player sort of was walking up this path and a cow started attacking them, um, they die because you could have like 1 or 5 cows attacking you. So the guards are sort of like a system prevention in a way that if someone was to try and grief the server to say like make all the goblins hostile and try lure them in towards Lumbridge, these guards essentially kill them on sight in a way. They're not, they're not OP one hit one kill type guards. They can never attack players. Green are friendly. They will forever always remain friendly, but they're there to sort of prevent things like that happening. And I've played Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2 for like, God, 2 decades now. I've played it for way over 20 years, and I've played many other servers where that system exists, where people do try and grief, like, making hostiles attack unexpected people. But yeah. So, but what I've done with Lumbridge as a starting point is try and get rid of that MMO repetitive talking. So if you talk to a person, they'll say, hello, how are you? Good day. Then it's goodbye. That's that. So what I've been trying is trying to make it more immersive. So these guards will recognize, I mean, this not just the guards, like the men and women, certain, NPCs that Bob isn't going to recognize all your achievements, things like that. So it's a bit of 50-50. We do have the generic, hello, do you want to buy anything? Goodbye. Those still exist, but where we have more like NPCs who are sort of wandering around, they have such a more in-depth conversation. I mean, we can't. It can never be endless. It does eventually end, but if I talk to this female guard sat on this stool here, so the guard looks away as you approach. So I tried to remember what I did for them, but oh, I remember now because this is my actual account. It's as I was testing this feature on my account, and essentially I upset that guard, so they try and not talk to me anymore. As I have completed Dragon Slayer, they recognise me as a champion, whereas if I hadn't, they treat you as just like a citizen and things like that. So yeah, there's quite a bit of dialogue with all of them. I think it's nearly like 1,000 lines of dialogue for each NPC, and it takes such a long time, so I'm doing it bit by bit. But anyways, on with the tour. I thought I'd just expand on some of the features that, instead of just showing you the areas, we are more than just things looking like RuneScape. We are trying to build such an immersive world as well. So coming up the path, we have, the chicken pens, where I used to do a lot of range training as a noob. So farmers, so if you were pickpocketing the men and women in Lumbridge area for thieving, you can eventually come up to pickpocket the farmers and start getting seeds, better XP. So that bear is hostile. So some things under level 5. I think bears is like one of the only things under level 5 that is purely hostile, just because they are a bear. We don't want players walking up to a bear trying to talk to them. So, but yeah, we got some unicorns over there. They are good for low level herblore to make the anti poison potion with their horn after grinding it. Just some sheep. They got some funky icons which need fixing, but yeah. We have Puro. Well, I think I've showed that a few times, but once you have the hunter level to access it, you can go through the wheat fields and they'll be there. The Dark Wizards are not hostile. You cannot loot noobs, unfortunately. As described, this is sort of a starter area. We didn't want sort of like people just trying, getting one hit by having like 10 wizards fireballing them as they try and enter Varrock. So, Champions Guild, again, it's doors are a bit funky on Neverwinter Nights overall. So we added a guild guard who sort of gives you access and checks you have the requirements to access the guild and things like that, rather than it just being a door. So some mining spots there. And over here, I can't remember. I think it is in old school RuneScape, but essentially just a cow pen. You got the windmill, which I think everyone uses for cook's assistance. Try to remember a very basic quest there. So um, going up to, and it is getting dark now. So it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, I mean, no, I like recording in the daytime only because it's, you can see everything where you're going. But I think because we have day and night cycles, it probably should be cool to see some of the nighttime scenes as well. So I'm loading into Varrock, and one of the cool things, well, I think it's cool in my opinion, is that it's never done, it's never been done before in our project, but a section of the area exists in two areas, which sounds complicated, but I'll explain it in a minute. And I do want to just add a quick disclaimer in the fact that I don't know what it is with the enhanced edition in patch 1, but loading screens do take longer. They are a lot faster in vanilla than what you're seeing. And my only assumption is because persistent wields servers on enhanced edition aren't fully supported. Yeah, I did a whole video last time. So I don't want you thinking like you're watching this, it takes about 10 minutes to load into an area. I don't know why enhanced edition just takes so long to load into areas, but it just does for some reason. So just then you saw me enter a transition into Varrock from Lumbridge. But if I actually turn around, I can actually access this area again. You have certain things. Now, and one of the annoying things I need to point out is I think I actually moved the implings there, so it does look slightly different, but in a sense, it is the same area, the same, everything's still the same, purr, the sheep, the unicorns and things are down there. But you can access this area in two areas. So I was in Lumbridge, but now I'm in North Misthalin. And then I can use that transition to get back to Lumbridge. So I think that's cool, in my opinion. It means there is logic behind it as well. And if I open up the map, it's because this area, which I merged Varrock and two other areas into one, is we wanted to include, I'll come to it later in the video, but I wanted to include the exam centre with the dig site in Varrock. But the areas of Neverwinter Nights 2 are always squares. So, as you can see, the map is a square. So if I wanted to include the exam centre, I essentially needed all of this area as well. And I didn't want it to be sort of like, you know, if you're in Varrock and you wanted to get to the exam center, if you're doing the dig site quest or the golem or things like that, I didn't want you to sort of run down here, enter a loading screen, come into Lumbridge, run across, enter another loading screen to hit the exam center, or alternatively, you know, um, Varrock Square, run all the way through, run down, and sort of like do like a weird, or in theory, you'd have to go all the way around through the dig site and down. So I didn't want to do that. So that is why I've recreated this area twice just in this area. Um, which it's in a way it shouldn't be an issue, but if you were killing dark wizards and you know if you wanted to kill dark wizards and someone was killing them, in theory you could just go to like Lumbridge or the other area and kill the dark wizards there because they're in both areas. So we are coming into Varrock. We've got Charlie the Tramp, very iconic. The little it's not really an alleyway, it's like a street. And what was that sign? Oh, for sale. One of the things highlighting things is you can highlight things very far across the map. So yeah, if that was referencing a player-owned house which you can buy in the Varrock slums, which I'll show you. I'm not going to say the actual shop's name because I can't pronounce it, but the Herblore guy, he's involved with a few quests. I think he's involved one of our custom quests we have, but also Romeo and Juliet. So coming around, we have obviously the wall, Varrock Wall, the little training. Well, I think it's just the anvils, but what we try and do is where there's anvils in the world, we do try and include a furnace as well. This is only because if you want to train smithing and you're trying to, you don't want to come to Varrock to, well, I think the next furnace is in Falador. So you don't want to go all the way to Falador, smelt some bars, then run all the way to Varrock. So we do try and keep some things centralized here. So you got the furnace and anvils. One of the custom things we do have is smelter and metal bits refiner. So say if you were if you were smithing 10 bronze swords and you didn't want to drop all those 10 swords, you didn't want to run to a general store to sell those 10 bronze swords, for more gold and things. What you could do is you could spring them here and smelt them into metal bits. I can't remember the ratio off the top of my head, but say if you had 10 bronze swords, turn it into 10 bronze bits. You can then use those to refine the metal bits back into bronze bars. So 10 uh, metal bits refined into 3 bronze bars, you can smith 3 bronze swords again. So it's a bit of like a recycle and reuse system, which if you're just after smithing XP, you can. Don't know why I'm looking at the actual. You can use those to get a bit more of your reach. It helps decluttering the inventory as well. So lodestones. Now, the irony is that in RuneScape 3, I've never liked lodestones, but one of the things we found in the project is that traveling was a bit too harsh. So if you're a new player and you were, say, I don't know, you're in Falador and you died to a bear, it can be a bit tiresome trying to run all the way back. So lodestones, they don't completely override the teleporting system. They aren't OP like in RuneScape 3. They are just if I show you, so you can go to the basic areas of Lumbridge, Varrock, and Falador, but the more advanced areas, such as like North Kandarin, requires Legends quest, which is a very high level quest. Shadow of the Storm is again a high level quest. Heroes quest was is a bit of an intermediate quest, but Brimhaven, it saves you running all the way to like Port Sarim, catching a boat and things like that. And we have charter ships. So for anyone who hasn't seen the video on the enhanced edition, there are bugs, and I'll highlight those again just so if this is your first time watching. Our boxes we use, so the get water is an invisible box, and invisible boxes reflect in the water. Now, someone in the Neverwinter Nights 2 community saw the video and gratefully sent me a link that there is a fix for that. which I really appreciate. So thank you, shout out to that person. But our sort of motto for the project is we're just really waiting for official support for Enhanced Edition. That may fix it. So I got stuck there. That may fix itself. So I don't want to patch it and then, Aspire release a patch itself. So this is coming up to Lumbridge Castle. I'll show you quickly. Now those stairs should be accessible. I don't know. I need to look into that. I thought I fixed that, but clearly I haven't. But yeah, so with the cursor where it's blue, you can click. So obviously I can't walk into a wall, so it turns red. It's saying those stairs are non-accessible. So that is new to me, and I thought I need to fix that. And we also need to fix these flags because they're very bright and shiny. They're like neon, so that just needs fixed. So we got a lot of Varrock guards around here. You can, I think, possibly. No, I don't think you can pickpocket them yet, but that will eventually be a feature. So the Varrock Castle, Varrock Church is one of our own custom features as well. I think we have included sort of like a depiction of Saradome. So you got like the Saradome and stars on the side, and then yeah, you've got sort of a Saradome character at the back. So yeah, we also have to remember back in the day people used to chop yews here, so we have sort of yew stumps. Wood cutting is on our never-ending to-do list. So wood cutting is based on sort of like tree stumps. So level 1 wood cutting is dead trees rather than this fully grown tree here. You can't interact with it because that's just how No Winter Nights 2 works. So we created an alternative of sort of like tree stumps. But it is on our to-do to sort of replace our tree stumps with you being able to cut actual trees. So access to the Varrock sewers there. We have the Varrock Museum as well. And another bug, yeah. Some NPCs have glowing hands in Enhanced Edition, and I do not know why. So we have the Herald of Varrock, similar to Lumbridge. It's just what they do is how it used to work is the Champions Guild and Dragon Slayer quest required you to have access to the Herald of Lumbridge and Herald of Varrock, only because we didn't have a system where you could have quest points. So when we eventually added the system of if you completed a quest, you had quest points, that now, yeah, that system now exists. So to access of Champions Guild and start Dragon Slayer, you do need 30. I think it's 32 quest points in RuneScape. So yeah, you need 32 quest points. But we have the systems of heralds of Varrock, Lumbridge, and there's one in Falador as well. We'll just keep them in just to get like the cape I'm wearing at the moment is the Herald of Lumbridge cape. Fun fact: it is supposed to be sort of the insignia of Lumbridge, but the Herald capes was like the first ever model we made like over 10 years ago, and we've lost them. So this area here where I'm standing now is one of the areas that has been merged into North Misthalin. So if I open the map, obviously one of the main areas we had was Varrock, and as I showed at the beginning of the video, is this area we come across a few times in the project. There's just it doesn't have a name. So Varrock is Varrock, Lumbridge is Lumbridge, Falador is Falador. These areas have specific names. But then when I built this area, it's what do you call this? It doesn't have a name. It's not like Brimhaven or things like that. So we have to be a bit. I mean, it can be very simple at times, but we do give it very simple names as well. So this sort of strip of land between Varrock walls and the fence, it was called East Varrock. So yeah, but there's a lot of places as well in RuneScape where there's caves which don't have names, dungeons which don't, the smaller dungeons don't have names. Just odd spots where we just have to create a name for them. So I think a few of them is like Caridian, so in the desert, Caridian shore or beach, things like that. So a lot of places in the desert 'cause it's very open. You know, you have like the mining camp, you have Uza, the Bedabin camp, the bandit camp, and things like that. But then it's like when you just have the large open desert around the Calphite area, what do you call that? So we just call it things like Caridian Northwest Desert, so things like that. I think you got to talk to this guy to access the slums. Halt, I need to conduct a search on you. There have been reports of someone bringing a virus into Varrock. And he searches me and he thanks me. So I enter. So yeah, this is obviously the Varrock slums. See, again, it's I've always called it the Varrock slums in here. I think Andrew Gower called it the slums as well, because this is where the player owned house system was supposed. I'm trying to think of the old Devious Mud picture of Varrock, but yeah, it's like what would you call this section? I mean, it's just Varrock, but for us we call it Varrock slums, especially for quests where in Biohazard he tells you, you know, the NPCs. Elena tells you to go to Varrock, so we just say, "Oh, go to Varrock slums," and this is this area. And I think, as I highlighted earlier, one of these houses is a player-owned house. Yeah, here. So you can buy this house, and only one person can ever own that house, and that will be theirs, and it's worth 7.5 million, which player-owned houses is pretty much a sort of like a gold sink system. It's not like old school RuneScape where it has a lot of. I mean, it has benefits, but it's very end game content where if you have gold to spend, you spend it there. So coming back out into East Varrock, we have a museum guard. Unfortunately, I can't animate, so we don't have the guy coming down with the wheelbarrow and going through the dig site. I'll just go down here just to show you briefly sort of what is down here. I think, yeah, it's the, what do you call it? The West Varrock mine? No, the East Varrock mine, because, yeah, we're east. So you got all the mining rocks there as well. See, that bear's back there. So, actually, I think while I'm down here, I'll come down here then. I'm just going to avoid the bear. So that transition over there is access to the Alcarid Desert. And if anyone's noticed why I'm glowing, it is because Neverwinter Nights 2 has a item slot for bouts. So I am wearing a Firefly lantern, which essentially creates this glow of light around me, which is helpful. It saves you carrying a torch. If you know this is my character who I actually play the project with. He's a bit funny. I've recently completed Fremenic Trials, so I've been rocking the Berserker helmet. I think I'm a level 18 rogue. I just don't have my Dragon Hide equipped at the moment because we remodeled it and I need the newer model of it on my character. But yeah, it's because I'm dual wielding, I get a light source while still holding two weapons. So that's the exam center. I'm not going to go in it because it's, yeah, we all know what the exam center is. So, funnily enough, it's one of the things I explained at the beginning is that because the max area we can build in Neverwinter Nights 2, so imagine RuneScape with all the tiles. The max area we can build in Neverwinter Nights 2 is 192 tiles by 192. So imagine in old school RuneScape where you click, you have a tile, click, you have a tile. You know, in Neverwinter Nights 2 you can move about anywhere using WASD or click to point. Is we build it tile to tile, and I noticed when making this area, um, just the end of the dig site of the exam center was like it was like 200 or 198, so I couldn't fit it all in. So while Varrock is sort of a one-to-one scale, I essentially had to cut a strip of land, and to be fair, it was all empty land anyway. It was just grass and trees. I just had to cut a small strip of land down here, and the dig site and exam center just squeezed up. So this is why, you know, the fence here and the hedge towards the exam centre is a lot closer because I just had to squeeze it in a bit. So it's nearly 1-to-1. Varrock is 1-to-1, but things like this is it's just been tweaked a bit. So you obviously the dig site quest you have the bushes, which I think you find the teddy for the student. But yeah, you go over here down the path, then you have sort of the main dig site area. The panning guide, that's where you pan to get the trophy, I want to say. I'll try to remember now off the top of my head. Yeah, it's just random workers walking around. You can pickpocket them to get their things as well. Yes, one of the students there. You have, what's it for? Yeah, dig site quest again, ways find the ancient talisman. You can dig around here, find random items. But I'm just going to go up here. But yeah, that is generally the whole dig site. Um, one of the things with Neverwinter too is the meshes of how the world is. Again, we try to not overcomplicate it a lot with the meshes because the system isn't great with it. Is that that guy's walking in a rock, which I need to fix. Make sure, yes, that's one of the meshes. Is that in RuneScape, all these dig sites have sort of like fences around them. You can only access it one way. So I thought to try and reduce the amount of meshes we have into collisions, you could just access it all. It's more open. But in RuneScape, you know, they have that railing or something around it. So I think I'll go around here. I've tried to remember the path now. So that is the dig site. And yeah, coming up to the path here. No, there it is. I couldn't see it because of the bush. We have a crashed gnome glider. Um, I think once you do the Grand Tree quest, you can still access. No, that's it. You can't access gnome gliders from here, but if I was at the Grand Tree, I can fly down to here. But because his gnome glider's crashed, I can't fly away from here, so I can't go to a Grand Tree from here. So coming up, we have Patadermis. I thought I had it, but I didn't. So one of the quests I was working on many years ago was what's it called? Soulbane, the quest. You know, Tolna's Rift, which is roughly around here. Is I was working on it, but how the quest works in RuneScape is, you know, the first part you damage the demon unicorn goblin. I forget the angry unicorn, the angry bear, the angry goblin with these like overpowered weapons, and it's trying to replicate that is it was really annoying. So I just had to put a back burner on that quest. But yeah, it's such a weird way of how that quest is built. You know, where you kill the confused creatures, they reduced in size. Um, you know, you look in the tunnels and wait for that ghost to come out and kill it. It's such I've built all the quests in Molior RS and there are some very complicated ones, but that one just seemed the most complicated quest to, you know, recreate an entirely new system for something. It's like a novice quest. So to get like the coding in the structure, sort of the general system of where you kill that beast with 4 legs and a door disappears, that is a lot complex to do in you know, an old game that isn't designed to do that. So I put it in the back burner, but I might just add the rift, you know, because it is there. But who knows? I might turn it into a custom quest. But yeah, it was such a funky quest, and I think I was tweaking it too much that it was no longer like you know, it was no longer Soulsbane from RuneScape. It was our own twist on it. Which, you know, we do have our own custom quests, and I said they're always lore friendly, but I think something like that is a bit, yeah, needs revisiting. So we have the mysterious rock for the earth altar. We have the lumberyard, the sawmill operator who can turn your logs into planks. you can actually sneak in that way, because I think there's a lot of crates around here. Yeah, you search for crates for the whatchamacallit, for the cats from Gertrude's Quest. So you have the Dancing Donkey Inn, Dancing Donkey Pub, I want to say. So yeah, these transitions are into the wilderness where PvP is enabled. Hopefully the transitions um, show that off correctly. But yeah, and we're back in the north of Varrock, and it looks a lot nicer at night time. It's got all the lights glowing, and you see all the windows glowing as well. Enhanced edition, again, its shadows are a bit, not shadows, the light sources, so you may see like just light filling up one of the areas, but yeah, it's odd how it works in enhanced, so hopefully it gets fixed in patched. So that is a tour of Lumbridge and um, yeah, sort of North Misthalin, Varrock, dig site, and I mean, to be fair, it wasn't a lot to see over the exam centre, but yeah, that is the whole tour. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. More general chat of sort of like how we develop and structure the worlds. Um, yeah, I think this is probably the most iconic areas I could ever show someone, so I'm glad I've eventually got them shown now. So that wall needs fixing. That's going on the bug list. um, yeah, that's a custom area for the Varrock Militia, which is one of our custom quests you can connect to. And you have for you trees at the back, of course. I think there is a bear in there. There's supposed to be a bear in there. I don't know where he is. I'll have to see if I can fix that. But yeah, then you got the Royal Garden, which the door has gone as well there. So finding a lot of bugs back here, so that's handy. I'll fix them shortly. But cool. Hope you guys enjoyed the tour. The next video, I don't know, I might do a gameplay video. I might just do a quest, just see sort of how the features and skilling systems in combat works and looting and all that. I think I tried to do it before, where I showed non-commentary videos of me trying to do the tourist trap, which I got stuck on trying to unlock the cuffs for the guy, and I thought the quest was bugged, but it wasn't. So yeah, there was no commentary, so I couldn't really explain what was going on. So cool. I'll catch you guys next time, and if you have any comments or feedback, just let me know. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.